Welcome to another episode of the Cool Tools Show and Tell. Our special guest this week is Chordophony. Chordophony, would you like to introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi there, Kevin. I am Chordophony. That's my pseudonym for performance and online media. By day, I'm a software engineer, but I'm passionate about music and technology and the intersection of those things, and I wanted to share a few tools related to that.
Okay, well, thank you for volunteering. We appreciate it. I know you have a bunch of gear that you can show us. So, Chordophony, tell me about one of your favorite tools, the number one tool for you.
Sure. The first tool may not be the number one tool, but it's the first one I'll share here. It's called a Bluetooth wireless MIDI foot controller. This device is it's about an inch, it's about half an inch in depth, an inch wide. It's a black metal box that's about 8 inches across. It's got 4 buttons on it. It's intended to be on the floor. I have another one here on the floor as well. And it's Footpedal device that lets you send MIDI signals or keyboard wirelessly to any computing device you can imagine.
Oh, okay. So it's like it's about the size of maybe one of those power outlets, like a foot-long power outlet. And so it's on the floor, and you have 4 different buttons that you can use your foot to engage. And then is Bluetooth, meaning that it doesn't need wires to connect to, like, I don't know, like an amplifier or like a switch box? What would it be possibly connected?
I connect it personally to my iPad or iPhone, and I'll show you. This one happens to be connected to my MacBook that I'm broadcasting on Zoom for. And for instance, I have it set up as a keyboard controller to be able to switch different scenes in OBS right now.
Okay.
So these devices, Kevin, that you'd commonly see these used by musicians, especially maybe a classical musician who uses it as a page turner. You know, they might have their sheet music on a tablet.
Oh, that's cool. So they're a violin and orchestra, and they've got one of these on the floor, and they have their iPad to show the sheet music, and they're just using their foot to advance the pages.
Exactly. So
cool.
This one is a lot more versatile, though. Normally, those page turners might just have 2 buttons. This one has 4 buttons, and it connects to any modern computing device, and iPhone, iPad, Android, Mac, Windows, what have you. And it's programmable. There's software you can get for any of those devices to program it to either send MIDI signals, note messages, or control change, or program change, or key presses to whatever computing device it's connected to.
And I presume that you don't have to use your foot; you could just use your hands to do these, right?
Yeah, as I did, I'm just pressing these with my thumb. But think about any time your hands are busy, a simple tap from another appendage might come in handy, so to speak. We're primates, so we should be doing more with our feet than just driving and walking, I'd say.
Right. So you mean like if someone was doing like a Twitch broadcast or streaming, and you're switching between things, like if you're a gamer or something like that, and maybe you wanted to switch between views of your camera.
That's right. And so I use this, and a lot of people use it for musical applications, right? But and a lot of my tools today are thematic in that way. But I wanted to showcase a couple examples of things that you could use outside of musical. I already use this as a OBS controller, for instance. But you could use it as a mute button, under your desk for Zoom, or to disconnect. You could use it as a remote shutter for your camera, or a page turner for cookbooks while while your hands are all greasy cooking, things like that.
So how difficult is it to program this to do a function? What do you at the other end of the device that is controlling?
It has there's a iOS app that I use called Cube Suite, and there's actually QR code on the back that gives you a quick shortcut to get and download that. And then you can scan for the devices, it finds it, and then it can be a little hard to navigate, but it's once you get it, it's pretty simple to switch between configurations and change it up. But I usually just keep it the way it's set up and use it that way. That's
what I meant was, like, if you wanted to use it to, like, turn the page, how do you, like, say for your Kindle or something, or how would you tell the Kindle? Does the Kindle need to have an app, or does it?
Oh,
need
yeah,
to have
that's a
access?
good question. It does get a little fiddly that way because every app has its own way of setting up. I mean, the keyboard controls, like this is just sending a space, enter, page up, page down.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty straightforward. But for like MIDI, that can get a little fiddly and a little technical to set up the software to respond to. Like, I'll send this button might send a MIDI control change 22, and you have to set up your software. And usually the software has ways that you can figure out to set it up.
So, well, there is some fussing. It does sound maybe it's easier than setting up an Arduino or whatever the alternative might be.
Yeah, especially with the software to set up, like the buttons that it's sending, that's pretty straightforward. And then, setting up the music software to do different things. Usually, if you're using music software, you're fairly technical to be able to navigate those and go through, do some settings diving to figure out where the MIDI configuration is.
So this seems to be called a portable chocolate MIDI controller, foot switch controller.
Yep.
So, it seems to be about $35.
That's about right. You can find it anywhere between $20 to $40. I generally wouldn't pay more than $30 for it. You can find it on AliExpress for cheaper. Usually, it just takes longer to get there. On Amazon, it's also white labeled. I found there's a company that makes it called MVave, but you can find it made by other manufacturers. And
okay, so it's like almost like a generic product at this point.
Correct.
I see. Okay, and
this is their website, by the way. Here.
Yeah. So you just switched to the MVave website with your little click. Okay. So a foot pedal, I mean, in the general tool seems to be using foot pedals with more than one choice as a way of doing things while you are doing other things with your hands, whether it's music or a game or something like that. That's pretty cool. Okay, well, thanks, Chordophony. How about your second choice?
So my second choice is using an iPad as a musical instrument. So this is my iPad Mini.
Show the larger switchback with your clicker to the larger screen. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is my iPad. I've got and it's got a lot of different music applications on it. And I think about a year ago, you had a guest featuring an app called Koala Sampler, and that's an awesome app, and it's a terrific tool selection. But there's so many great apps available on iPad, and most also work on iPhone, by the way. And now that these devices, almost all of them that Apple sells, have USB-C, it makes it so much easier to connect to outboard gear like USB-C audio interfaces and things of that nature. And so, and the performance of Apple Silicon is really good. So you can do just about anything on an iPad that you could do on a Mac in terms of performance, right? And this, all of that so far is going to sound a lot like, an ad from Apple. But, what I wanted to feature are some of my favorite music app producers on iPad and iOS. This, for instance, is a company called Yonak. They have an app called King Bee.
Hey, could you say that again? It's the app is called what?
The app is called King Bee.
King
It's
Bee.
a
Okay.
King Bee. It's a Hammond B synthesizer, soft synth essentially, and so it allows you to have lots of different tones and sounds. It sounds like an organ. You can hopefully hear that in the background there. And it's just one example of many plethora of apps out there. I mean, everyone has by default installed, Apple's GarageBand. Apple recently released Apple Logic Pro on iPad, which works almost as good as the desktop app. So, I mean, the tool selection here is about iPad, but I just want to feature, a couple of my favorite apps, and we'll get to my favorite app in a moment. Here is my third tool. But this is one from Moog. If you ever heard of Moog, Bob Moog is a synth producer. There's all sorts of crazy sounds you can get from these. So just want to feature a couple additional apps that you can get on your iPad just for a few dollars each. Usually, one time. Most of them are not on a subscription model. They're one-time purchase.
So that does seem to be something different about the iPad versus, say, the Mac, is that they seem to be less expensive and without subscriptions. So yet they seem to be, in terms of their capabilities, very similar to the desktop.
Right. That's right.
And so this would be like a much more economical way to, say, do music stuff, is you do it on your iPad.
Absolutely. And you can do just about anything you can do, like especially with the advent of Logic coming to the iPad. It's got, multi-track recording and all the features you'd expect from the desktop app.
And is there any disadvantage to trying to work on the iPad? The desktop with your keyboard and mouse and all that?
I have not. In fact, I think there's many advantages more than anything because it's a touch interface. You have all sorts of ways to interact. It's simple. It's modal. So there's one app at a time versus and so in a performance environment, you can set your iPad up and you just have the one app there. You don't have multiple windows you have to navigate. So for me, it's way easier and simpler to work with this than a Mac.
And you're saying as a performer versus, like, say, as a composer or someone making something in a studio?
Both. I think in both use cases, it excels, and I feel like not enough musicians and tinkerers know about this and the power that it's the whole ecosystem of apps that are out there is really tremendous.
So you mentioned too the King Bee.
Yep.
And then the Garage, and then what was the other one?
So Moog Z is the
Moog. Okay.
Moog. I don't know if it's Moog or Moog, honestly.
Yeah.
But
okay.
This has a lot of different sounds.
And like, if there was one, you mentioned Apple's Logic. If there was sort of one music-oriented app that, say, a beginner would start with, what would it be? Would GarageBand or something else?
I think GarageBand, it comes for free and already installed, I think, by default on iPad. So it's good to explore and use different sounds. It has a built-in keyboard, so that's a good one to try out. Mm-hmm. If I may, I'd like to move to my third tool and show you my favorite music app. So this is an app called AUM.
AUM, okay.
AUM. It's by it's a single developer who develops this called CHyMatica, I believe, and it sells for $21 on the App Store. And you can think of this really, it's my favorite music software bar none because of how much power and flexibility provides for bringing all those apps together into this interface. So, and you can see the interface here. I'll describe it a little bit. It's modeled a little bit after if you've ever seen like a recording console or a mixer, an audio mixer. It's modeled a little bit.
Move your screen down to the center a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
And so each of these is like a channel where you can see I've got Animoog here. That is an audio channel that when I play a note to that, it'll go here and it'll mix together with other things that I might have on here. And so it mixes together multiple sources, whether it's an audio interface input or a soft synth or any variety of audio producers that you.
Just so I understand, so
Mhm.
do these other apps have to be open to get those inputs? Do you have to have all those apps open on your iPad in order
Um,
to have them feed into this Uber app?
Yep. What Apple provides for developers is are APIs for what's called audio units. And so all of these are installable apps, and you can run them standalone, and they'll run, but they'll all run in the background as audio units as well. And so they allow an app like this, AUM, the audio mixer tool, to run those audio units in the background, take have MIDI interfaces in and out to each of those audio units, and then produce the audio such that it can route to all the different interfaces and mix together and pull together all these
Right.
different.
So on the screen of your iPad, there's sort of a diagram where you were mentioning these apps on the left.
Yep.
Um, I don't quite understand what um, the logic is of.
Let me just sort of trace this. This is sort of a nerdy thing that especially guitarists will do. That they'll have their signal chain because this helps sort of improve your tone and make your instrument sound different. So I have an input here, which is my guitar input, and it comes in through a USB interface, which I'll show in a moment here.
Could you
And
lower
then
the screen again? Move the center.
right,
Thank you. Okay.
and then and so that input goes to over here where it's going to come through a tool called MIDI guitar. And so it'll convert my audio signal into MIDI signal. And that way that can traverse and go over to these soft synths and send MIDI notes, which will activate those. So here in the background out here, I have a guitar. So if I play a note on this, you can hear the note coming out. It's being processed through AUM and the plugins that I have there.
So
But then if I,
could you change that right now and have it sound differently?
yes, so that's what I'll do. I just switched on this Animoog Z,
Okay.
which is connected to MIDI guitar. And now you can hear when I play a note on my instrument, do you hear it sounds sort of lower and has sort of a more bass-like tone. And if I open that tool, I can actually open Animoog Z within AUM and play other notes just on the keyboard itself. So
Okay.
I mean, the sky's the limit in terms of what you can do with this. You know, once you
Right.
start different softwares.
And this is, as you said, a $20 iPad app.
That's right.
Versus in the past, people have done that on like a board of some sort.
Yeah, I mean, there's hardware that does similar things to this. Like I mentioned before, you might have seen at a concert at the back of house, you'd have someone working a big audio mixer that has all the signals from the stage, and so you can get hardware that does similar function, but this provides so much more flexibility than the hard coded.
Yeah, there was one like a Boss. I've heard of a Boss console of some sort.
Right.
So okay, and then but everything goes in and out through just that one USB Lightning
Yes,
port, right?
that's right. So this is connected to my whole rig. I have a studio upstairs where one cable will connect to two MIDI keyboards, another MIDI controller, a couple speakers and monitors, and one cable I can have connected to my entire studio.
But you need to have some kind of box where many cables come in to make that one cable, I guess. So I don't know. Okay, so AUM is the app, and it looks like it's on the App Store for $21, and they call it a flexible audio mixer recorder connection hub for your and your phone, I guess, as well.
It works on iPhone and iPad,
Yeah.
and
Cool.
it works
Okay. Well,
perfectly well
thanks,
on.
Chordophony. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. Um, what's your
So
good?
my, my fourth and final tool is the device that this is connected to here. It's my what I call a custom hybrid pedal board, or a chipboard for short. Now this device has been on the floor the entire time, so you may have seen this. But it basically is and you might commonly see this at a big rock show. You know, guitarists will have an elaborate pedal board in front of them with all sorts of stomp boxes to change their tone. This is a smaller version of that. It's about the size of a shoebox, and has a number of devices attached to it.
Yeah,
It's
it has sort of looks like been a little bit of a hacked
it is.
sensibility of things attached to it in different sizes and shapes and colors, and lots of knobs and wires. Um, so yeah, okay.
That's
But
right.
and at the bottom, I do see your four pedal that little pedal box that you described earlier. That's attached to it.
That's right. And so this definitely is a DIY type thing. I think pedal boards for guitarists are sort of like lightsabers for Jedi. You're not a guitarist until you build your own.
And you travel. You bring your own.
Yes, and it's very customized, and so this one I built with many of the tools I learned about from Cool Tools. So I just
Okay.
it's like an IKEA crate, pulled two planks off of that, and gaffer tape and wood glue to hold it together, and dual lock tape, 3M dual lock tape is the huge recommendation. A lot of people use Velcro to attach things to their pedal boards. 3M dual lock tape. So this is a little bit of a few tools in one, cheating a little bit here, but this is my sort of latest version, and it just brings together all the key things that I use on a day-to-day basis, just for producing music and playing around. But overall, the concept of this is takes like a regular pedal board to the next level, because there's three core elements. There's the regular sort of what you might expect a regular pedal board to have, the audio effects. This is a wah pedal and a overdrive pedal, and that's connected into an audio interface. That's what this serves as, and that's what allows me. You see, this red cable is connected to my iPad, and so the three elements are the standalone pedals, the audio interface, and MIDI, a MIDI controller of some sort. Because this allows you to integrate all the tools I showed you on the iPad with your signal chain on your device.
Right.
So that's the idea with this.
And again, the idea is that it's on the floor. You're using your foot to engage it or trigger it,
Right.
to make choices. And you have, I see you have multiple jacks for other inputs of some sort.
Right. And so, I can play a chord. I already had that instrument activated before, so I can just press a switch and deactivate it. I can press another switch to activate another effect. And so instead of buying a $100 customized pedal just to make that effect, you can hear the tone difference a little bit with this one, right? I can just use this switch to turn it on and off. So it's the same as, pressing the button here, but instead of pressing the button here, it just is turning on this pedal to change, add a little bit of distortion. I can instead, press a button here, and you can see it's activating that software in AUM.
Okay.
So it's a little complicated, and a little techy, but for me, this is like open up a world of possibilities of tone shaping and everything with my instrument.
Right. Right. So, and again, this seems a little bit more geared towards performance, but you could also use it for recording as well.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a lot of musicians who will go to the studio with something like certainly with their pedal board and their amp and set up like that for recording setup. This is something that I can use, and I just fit all of this stuff in a backpack and get a million tones. Whereas someone might have to have a huge pedal board with 100 pedals. I can get it down to just the 8 pedals that I have on here, and change a lot of different tones.
Right. And I can see how that kind of fits into what's the word I want, the style of a guitarist. But do other instruments also work the same way if you had a wind instrument or whatever?
I think it's becoming more and more popular. There's a popular YouTuber who plays harp, and she features a lot of different effects. Has a pickup in her harp and routes through there. So you see a lot of different, especially in electronic music. You see a lot of different experimentation and using tools like this to really expand the sort of sonic frontier of what you can
Right.
do.
Yeah, that's really great. Well, that's and then this pedal board that you're talking about is is really kind of I don't know it's kind of like I wouldn't say, is it like a generic pedal board or how would you describe it? The one that you're using to mount, it's CHyPboard, custom
So
hybrid pedal board.
I linked to a listing I have on a Reverb sales site. So I don't recommend buying one of these from me, but that's the link that might appear on the blog.
Yeah.
But, so that's just a custom DIY one. I'll also send you a link for just the bill of materials for building one yourself, because I think if you're interested in doing something like this, it's helpful to sort of know how it's put together, and
Right.
you can spend a lot of money on the base board and a prefab thing that's intended as a pedal board, or you can build your own with sort of found supplies and things like that. And that's
Okay. Um, that reverb thing, that's not just that's the complicated bespoke pedal board rather than just the parts.
Right. It's like a curated one that I made
Yeah.
that I'm willing to sell to someone if they wanted to, but I'd recommend sort of
Okay.
experimenting and trying your own, right?
All right. Okay. All righty. And is the fresh air for the iPad, is that yours as well?
Pardon?
The fresh air for iPad? iPad Air? No? Okay.
Oh, yes, yes. So that is I skipped over. Well, I covered iPad as a musical instrument,
Yeah.
and I think I linked to iPad Air as recommended model.
Okay.
And the reason I suggest that, I have a mini here, but if you're getting an iPad, I think the iPad Air is a little bit larger screen. Importantly, versus the Pro models, they have Touch ID sensors. So this is something I think it works a little bit better than Face ID for the sort of.
I mean, for waking it up. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. I had one that I use. I'm going in the other direction with visual. So I use Procreate, which, by the way, is like, it's another one of those, is a $20 one-time lifetime purchase that is better than anything else out there in terms of drawing on a drawing app. And my iPad also had a finger touch recognizer that could tell that would unlock the iPad.
Yeah,
So
I like the Pros with the Face ID, but I think Touch ID, definitely helps for some things.
yeah. So Chordophony, we have a few minutes to talk about uh, whatever your passion project might be, or something else that you want to share with our audience. This is the opportunity if you have anything to say.
So I didn't really have much to add here, Kevin. Just really wanted to share these tools today, um, and honestly, I didn't think of the extra thing to say, so I apologize for that. I didn't
No
do my homework.
problem. It's not required. It's just an opportunity. So I appreciate your volunteering for this time to share with the things that you love and want to recommend, and your enthusiasm for the frontiers of music, which is really great. I love hearing ways to hack that. So thank you for taking time this afternoon.
Glad to do it. Glad to do it. And thank you for all you do here at Cool Tools and all your writing. I really, really appreciate all that.
Well,
Thanks very
great.
much.
I wish you great success in your music.
All right, appreciate that.
We are glad that you are enjoying this issue of the Cool Tools Show and Tell. I just want to remind you that we also have some other coolish material on our YouTube channel here. So please subscribe, comment, and like. This show and tell is also available in an Audible podcast form. If you just wanted to listen to us, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you subscribe to other podcasts. And if you're already just listening to us, you should know that there is a visual version of this show on our YouTube channel, where we're actually showing the tools, and there's a little bit more visual component there. In addition, the same folks that publish the Cool Tools website, that's all of us, me, Mark, and Claudia, we also put out a free newsletter every week. It's very, very short, just kind of one page or less. And we recommend 6 very brief items that are very succinct and easy to read, so you can deal with it in a couple minutes. And every week we bring you the 6 coolest things that we've uncovered and want to share. It's called Recommendo with 1 M. Just go to recommendo.com and you'll be able to find it there. It's free, and you'll get it in your mailbox every Sunday morning. So join 80,000 other subscribers to and hear what we're thinking about and what we find cool that week. It's actually one of the most popular things that we produce. We also publish other newsletters as well. One of them is a very short, free weekly, like Recommendo, but for travel. It's called Nomadico, and it gives you 4 short recommendations for people who work where they travel or they travel while working. Another one is called What's in Your Now. It features things that are significant to you right now. Could be things that you carry every day or something very near you. We have another one that's about tools and tips for your workshop, and one that extracts the best stuff out of self-improvement books. You can get all those at our website, and they are also all free. And finally, I want to mention the fact that while our newsletters are free, they're not cheap. They're handmade by humans in California, and if you want to support us, we have paid subscriptions for each newsletter on Substack. So when you sign up for a paid sub, you're making it possible for us to keep creating them free for everyone else. So thank you for being a fan of any type, and we'll keep producing stuff if you let us know that you enjoy it. So thank you.